The finale of The Acolyte is almost here, and ooh, I am excited. But you know who else is excited? Alyssa Mercante from Kotaku. But you know who is not excited? Grace Randolph has finally joined our side of the argument. Let's talk about the amazing state of Acolyte discourse that we don't want to mess with, despite Amandla Stenberg's claims that we should. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me are people who have also been subjected to the Acolyte, Mr. VashSky and Mr. Culture Casino Esquire.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I might have to give up my my bar.
Your bar?
Yeah.
As in the place where you drink alcohol?
No, my bar is in I can no longer practice law.
Well,
subjected is the right word.
This bar, that bar. Let's move on though to this story.
Admiral Akbar.
That was a trap right there. This story from John F. Trent at That Park Place. YouTube personality Grace Randolph turns on Lucasfilm's The Acolyte and says episode 7 was awful after claiming criticism of the show was hate speech. Woo! That's right. We keep track, and who keeps track? John F. Trent keeps track. YouTube personality Grace Randolph has finally turned on the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm and described the most recent episode as awful. Look at this. This is a face of a person with deep contemplation going on. Randolph shared her initial thoughts on X, simply writing, "The Acolyte. Oh man, that was awful. That doesn't look like Grace Randolph. Is that how GIFs work?" Anyways, Randolph's about face on the show is quite dramatic. Back in June, after the first 2 episodes premiered, Randolph was calling the majority of people criticizing the show grifters. Well, welcome to the party, Grace. She wrote on June 6th, "I think it's funny that the anti-Acolyte people are yelling shill at anyone who likes it, yet the hate is largely being driven by people who are making money off of it, aka grifters." Hey, this is a question I've been wanting to ask on a stream on a video or whatever for a long time. Are you a grifter if you make any money off of your opinions, or is it if you make up your opinion in order to make money?
I think you're a grifter if you make any money and your opinion is negative, and you're a shill if you make any money on your opinion and it's positive. I think that's
well, then that's
the
fine.
rules of the internet work.
I'm okay with that. Culture, what about you? Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a kinder term to be the grifter.
I would say so. If anyone, and this is just there we go, Colin Yost. I'm just saying. After calling people criticizing the show grifters and making it clear she had a problem with it, Randolph hypocritically followed up by writing, "By the way, I have no problem if you don't like The Acolyte, but there's no need to go full Sith on it." Oh. This show is genuinely horrible, though. That's the whole thing. Less than a week after describing the majority of people disliking the show as grifters, Randolph claimed that Disney would struggle to cast people in Star Wars moving forward because the actors were receiving hate. I got to say, this guy right here, not receiving much hate, except for this week when they made him a real creep. And I like this guy. I think he's great in Squid Game. I had to watch that one for work even before I worked for That Park Place. And he seems to be one of the most solid actors in the series here, but she's got it right on the money right here. Like poor Jung-jae coming off Squid Game, doing a great job on The Acolyte. And for what? Just 3 days after that posted, she claimed critics were taking on hate speech qualities. Oh, wow. She really dug deep on all of this. This is amazing. As for me, I genuinely like the show. I'm excited for you to see episode 4 on Tuesday. I see. She never saw episode 5, which was personally my favorite episode of The Acolyte. What about you, Culture? Was number 5 the one with Qimir, slicing everybody up? Was that your favorite one?
No, my favorite one is episode 9.
That's one that doesn't exist. That's after the show is over. What about you, Vash? Was episode 5 your favorite episode?
Favorite is a strong term. I think better than the rest, I think would be the accurate description. But the fact that she was very excited for people to see episode 4, that's actually pretty surprising, because that's just the one where they just walk to the place where the duel is going to happen. So the fact that she was really excited to show us that, well, it says something about the taste of Grace.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because episode 4 is the one where they discover that the Wookiee is dead, and that you already have Osha. Osha's the evil one, right? That she changes her mind. She says, "I ain't evil no more," in the middle of all that. It's just such a confusing show. Does Lucasfilm poke the bear? Absolutely. Should there be a broader range of Star Wars content? Absolutely. No, please, no more Star Wars content for a long time. But I feel The Acolyte is genuinely a good show with awful timing and is sitting down at a table where the odds were stacked against it, which is unfortunate. Wait. What do you think she means by awful timing? Does she mean the releases were awful, or that, and I could get behind this one, that everything in the show is done at a horrible pace and therefore it has bad timing from a production standpoint?
I think that she's saying that the show came along at the wrong time, and had it come at a different point in the time cycle, it might have been more well received.
No. All right. We have to skip ahead because we still have to get to Miss Alyssa Mercante here. In her episode 6 breakdown, Randolph was continuing to sing the show's praises. She stated, "It's hard to follow up an episode as amazing as episode 5. And to be honest with you, I think episode 6 doesn't quite live up to the challenge. I think the only thing that would be satisfying after so much glorious action is an info dump of answers. Instead, here we get the promise of answers to come in 7 or 8. She would later state, there was a lot of hate out of the gate for this show, but there's a lack of positivity to combat it. And now we're finally finding ourselves in space, where last it seems, evenly matched. That's really important for the show. Culture, you were on the HCast and you guys talked about episode 7 and specifically Grace Randolph's comments on episode 7. How would you portray them?
It is amazing. So I like to talk about wrestling in these moments. She did a heel turn on the show, except she went to the light side. She was on the dark side. She flipped a baby face. I don't know what happened, but she joined us, Jonas, here on the dark side. I don't know. Maybe
are we the dark side? I like to think of us as the light side.
Okay, all right. Then she joined us, and she's following in the way of the good force, and she's no longer threading things.
Now
that's bad. Anyway, so yeah, overall, her description of what happened right at the beginning of her show, of her Behind the Trailer show, where she talks about this, her breakdown was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I love a good mystery. I really do. And we've never had one in Star Wars before. I mean, we've had questions that needed answering, and they eventually got answered. But I'm talking like a traditional mystery. And wow, it works so well in Star Wars.
3 weeks later.
Oh, man. That was embarrassing.
And she's right.
She's right. It really is not good. I gave this episode a D, and everyone felt like I was being generous.
Yes.
Giving it a D. This is not good television. This is the other side of an episode that still didn't make sense at the time. And I don't think the additional details actually answer any of the questions that we supposedly needed to be answered. It just, there are still mysteries as to, well, who killed the people? Who blew up the thing? We still don't know. So unless we're going to get yet another perspective on this in the one remaining episode of this show, which I am not looking forward to it any more than I am looking forward to getting out of my comfortable bed in the morning. Like, it's something that has to happen more than I'm actually interested in it happening.
But Jonas, don't you think that we're in for the best 3-hour finale of any television show ever?
Well, we could be. Now, the thing I wonder with Grace Randolph specifically is if she might have made a new enemy today with her opinions, because, there's a name that we often bring up on That Gameplay. So, well, we've brought her up 1, maybe 2 times, but we're probably going to end up talking about her a little bit more. And she says that if you're mad about The Acolyte, you haven't been paying attention to Star Wars. Who said that? Well, that was Miss Alyssa Mercante, the senior editor over there at Kotaku, the most famous author for that website. She seems to think that anyone who doesn't love this show is probably not, they're smooth-brained. They're not quite of the high intelligence level that she is here. I don't want to go through this entire review, but have you guys read this? Do you have anything you want to point out for our audience here?
I do admit I am sluggish on my mental gymnastics. I haven't been working that out in order to make this show good in my mind. I just haven't been working.
Well, it's your civic duty to see this work of representation and see it as a positive thing because of the representation. This is the thing. Whenever they say representation, that usually says to me that they don't have anything to talk about any more than if you advertise the show by saying, well, the wife is black. I would wonder, okay, well, that's weird that you bring that up. And moving on. Wait. I forgot. We have to continue reading this one. Let's go all the way down to the bottom here. So where is it? Where is it? After the episode aired, the internet lit up with people complaining about its portrayal of the Jedi and the reveal of its quote unquote true villain, Saul. Okay. Reading those comments and seeing angry YouTube thumbnails reminded me once again of the rapid deterioration of our collective cultural memories. We've seen this exact thing happen before in Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. Then Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn refused to listen to the Jedi Council or the worries of his Padawan after meeting a young, Force-sensitive Anakin Skywalker on Tatooine. Anakin had the highest midichlorian count. Oh my, I can't even. What is this? Okay, so Saul is the villain. Can we go back to that? Vash? Is Saul the villain of this show?
Absolutely not. Now, he does get a little creepy. He sees the girls once and goes, ooh, I'm going to go ahead and move heaven and earth to make one of them my Padawan. Okay, that's a little weird, a little creepy. You know, the motivation's not great. But when you're at and we went over this in the review, but when you're at a standoff, you literally have archers on a bridge looking, you know, and they got their arrows locked and loaded there. You have Torben with his lightsaber out. It's a tense situation, and you go into this mode that is very reminiscent of the dark side with the kind of the ash spawn. I don't know what that was. And then May across this whole courtyard starts getting affected by that. And Soul's like, well, I can't have that happen. And, you know, thrusts his lightsaber into
Mother Anasea.
Mother Anasea. That's not a bad thing. That is I would argue Soul attempting.
They're all acknowledging that this is almost like a first contact situation. Things are pretty tense, and she decides to throw her hands up into the air and do this slow transition into some kind of dust raven demon thing. And also it appears that she is either taking over a child or dissolving that child as well. So the whole thing is just weird and strange. And then she says, but I was going to let the kid go with you. Like, when words would have communicated that concept a lot better than turning into some kind of weird smoke demon. Let's take a look here at a little bit more of what Miss Mercante says. Or maybe it's Mrs. Mercante. I don't know if she's married. Anasea even predicts the fall of the Jedi due to their own hubris, saying, someday those noble intentions you all have will destroy every Jedi in the galaxy.
And noble intentions didn't destroy the Jedi. It was a Sith Lord. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I finally found the reference I was going to make the other day. Here's my tweet. No, Mr. Simpson, that's sexual harassment. If you keep it up, I'll yell so loud the whole country will hear. Oh my. Vash, I think you had another article to add in here. Are we finally reaching the point at which this show is going to be good?
Apparently not. Apparently it's the inverse reaction to that right there. This by Levy Scott, reprinted on Microsoft News there. The Acolyte is dangerously close to becoming another Star Wars disappointment. And it basically lists out, it's like, okay, are we going to get answers to any of these questions? Because I think they're looking at it from the standpoint of what happened with like the rise of Palpatine or the rise of Skywalker.
So is this completely lore based? This is all, are we going to get answers on this very lackluster mystery that they've set up here?
Yes. That's. I think that was Grace Randolph's one of her issues with episode 7 was we're not going to get any satisfying answers, are we? And this article right here actually kind of echoes some of those complaints in that, okay, you've set up all of these, I don't know, seeds. Are they necessarily going to grow into satisfying trees for the audience? The answer is no, folks. That's not going to happen. And I think Grace Randolph, when confronted with something that she could not deny anymore and maintain any journalistic integrity whatsoever, if you want to call her journalist, that is, I think she was forced to kind of heel turn, as Culture eloquently put it right there. It's, I don't mean to get political, but it's almost like a certain political candidate, which we were told one thing, and then the whole world discovered something quite another, and then the media was, well, they had no choice but to heel turn themselves. I think in this way, Grace Randolph looking at this and knowing that the whole world is going to see this, I think it's indefensible at this point. That's what happened.
Now, the question that I have here is, Is the question of whether or not Osha will turn to the dark side. Culture, is that a question that you have here? Is that going to matter to you whatsoever if Osha, which by the way, I said the completely wrong name before, and I don't, and someone corrected me, and I don't care because essentially these two characters are essentially the same character. So I don't see any difference between Osha and May, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't make it something that obviously it's like Osha May or May Osha or something like that, to where, you know, they really get on the nose with the twin names here. Culture, do you care if Osha goes to the dark side?
No.
Do you care if Qimir becomes a light side user?
No.
Do you care if Saul goes in and proposes to marry the entire coven so that they can all live happily ever after?
That might be more interesting.
I really think that's the entire point with the Acolyte right now, is that anything that is within the realm of possibility on this show seems pretty boring when it comes down to it. What are they going to do? Are they going to go before the High Council and Vanestra Rowe is going to... Here's what I think. Vanestra Rowe is going to propose one more cover-up before this is all done. Maybe Saul will die. One good character on the show, and he dies. And a meaningless death, because this is not even a great tragedy. It's just a great apathy. Culture, do you have something you'd like to throw in there?
Yeah, I'm one of those apathetic people. It's definitely a great apathy. I'll say it one more time. There are no navigable motivations for any of these characters. They flip on a dime for no reason. We went from a friendly relationship to an adversarial one with characters for no reason. And if you walk through that last episode and you realize that not just the turning to mist thing, but the whole brain control thing, offering, something like, an evil power would do. What's the thing you desire most in your heart, child?
I want to go back to my house.
I want to go home. Yeah. I was like, no, thank you. And that was, in a nutshell, that's what that was. And I'm like, oh, okay. The snake is offering you the apple. Party on.
Do you believe the snake? Why would the snake have any power to get you home? It makes no sense whatsoever. At least give him something believable here. Oh my. All right. We need to...
but the adult in the room will fix everything. And Dara will fix everything. And all you boys and your toys, and you've created this entire mess for us women. Don't worry.
And Dara's dead.
Well, she's still in the show, though, so here we are. With that being said, we want to throw this to our commenters. Are you looking forward to the last episode of The Acolyte? I know that I am looking forward to the end of The Acolyte myself. Or what do you think could happen in this show that would make it finally wrap up everything? Do you think that Ahsoka is going to show up and use the World Between Worlds to finally erase all of the shows that you don't like, but keep all the ones that you do? That might be fun, huh? Like this video if you like this video. Consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that it should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.